is.
All right, hi guys, we're live. I'm here with Jason at last.
Hey, everybody. At last. We're going live on Facebook now as well.
So just mentioned we're working on getting a lot more guests. Hope that will.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. Here is Jason Douglas with Common Sense News Entertainment and yet another joint venture with Yankee T News, Cora Rotnowski, here on this beautiful Friday, the eve of our nation's 250th anniversary.
Okay.
And maybe we can start off talking a little bit about that. You want to?
What's that? Talk about what?
America's 250th anniversary tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be important.
Yeah, and I had this. You may have known that we were going to there was some talk about Fazio and Betsy McCoy renting a bus and us all jumping on it. A bunch of us jumping on, going down to the pool at DC to the festival down there. But it kind of fell apart. But it turned out that Betsy was going to take a plane down there, but she couldn't get on her plane because she was 3 minutes late and they wouldn't let her on a plane.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
and so Sam Montville was going to go on the bus. The bus fell apart. He decided to drive down there with a guy named Adam 12. I don't know who that is, but they were heading down there, and Betsy called, and they picked her up at her house, and they drove down with Betsy. And in this video, I'm going to have to post some of his stuff on Facebook later for him. I told him I would, Sam Montville. And the three of them drove down there, and one of the videos, you see Betsy in the back seat, sound asleep in the back of the car. It's funny as hell. And they get down there, and they shut down the thing because of the heat. They shut down the whole thing. I mean, for yesterday they did because of the heat. And at first I was like, "What kind of cancel culture crap is that?" And then, but Sam said, "No." He said, "Look, there were so many people passing out. You could see people literally passing out around him, and the paramedics were overwhelmed." He's like, "Normally I don't like cancel culture either." He's like, "But we had to do something. They had to shut it down." I was like, "Wow, okay."
So what are they going to do?
They claimed it was 117 degrees down there, and I don't believe that.
Well,
it may have felt like 117 with a heat factor or whatever, but I don't think that was the actual temperature. But anyway, as the day went on today, I got the itch to go down there. I really wanted to go down there. I just want to, even if I just drive my own car down there, just to be part of it, really. But you and I talked about it earlier, and the logistics of it were just horrendous.
Yes, getting there.
Just getting there, and to park your car anywhere near the pool, you're looking at a 45-minute walk. And it is not 117, no way, but over 100-degree weather though.
Yeah, and, you're going to feel it.
Yeah, and that the whole thing just logistically seemed impossible. So as much as it saddens me, I'm not going to be down there.
Okay. However, let's draw a positive note here. That would be Rob Sampson, who did a clip showing that he was down there. He had a big red T-shirt on it that said "Freedom." And I would say that I might have been maybe a little bit more pointed. I would have wanted to jab more things into the side of Ned Lamont on this. But I think, he handled it in a very positive way, showing that these people were there to make sure that they learned the things about Connecticut that Ned Lamont would never tell them.
Right, exactly. Even though I didn't make it down there, the place is well represented. We kind of stepped up to the plate and filled the void caused by our lame governor. So
now, also, do you have a phone number for Reese?
I do.
So you can call him.
We can call him right now?
Hell yeah, we're on the. Just let him know, Reese. We're on the air. We want to know how you're doing.
That's why I need two phones. I'd have to get off the air with my Facebook crowd to do that.
Well.
Do you have your cell phone handy?
I do.
Hold on, you guys. I'm going to be off visual here for just a second.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can get. I don't know if I have Reese's personal number. I think I have his wife's number, actually.
Okay, well.
Isn't that ironic? No, I don't have his number on here on my phone. I thought I did. Wait, let me look one more time. I'm not even sure if I'm still alive doing this or not. I have I just have his number vis-a-vis WTIC. I don't have his actual cell phone number.
Yeah, hold on.
I have him on here, but only vis-a-vis WTIC's call-in studio number. Okay, there we are. We're still live. Good deal. Okay.
But
we can call Sam Montville. We'll get him on the phone.
Oh, that's where I went wrong. All right,
he's down there.
Call Sam.
Let's do it. I'm gonna give you his number. You gotta call him.
I gotta call him. Okay.
Well, let me see if I can call him on here. Actually, it might take me off the air with Facebook. Here he is. They're probably back at their hotel by now.
Yeah, well, that's a good time for a wrap up.
He rode down there with Betsy, so let's see if we can get him. Here we go.
He's going to have to tell us something.
Can you hear it or not? Can you hear it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sam Montville from WTIP, associated with Reese on the radio. He might be out tipping a few by now.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
Sam.
what's going on?
Hey, it's Jason Douglas and Cor Rotnowski, and you're live with us on Yankee T News, my man.
Yeah.
You're live with us on Yankee T News.
Nice. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing? How's it going down there in DC?
Oh, it's going awesome, man. It's going absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's a big
man.
Yeah, big party, huh?
Oh, it's a big festival, man. Tomorrow we got Linda McMahon on the show, and it's really crazy. We're the only radio station inside the fair.
Wow, really? Out of the whole country?
Yep.
Oh,
We're
wow.
the only radio station. And
thank you, Ned Lamont.
YouTuber.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you're gonna have Linda McMahon swinging by tomorrow. That's great.
Yes, indeed.
So how's Betsy doing down there?
Betsy was doing great. We just dropped her off at the airport.
Oh,
Really
wow.
interesting story. We were driving down here, and she called us up, and she was like, "They won't let me on the plane because I got her a half hour late." We were like, "We'll be right there to pick you up."
Picked her up at the house.
It was a pretty amazing day. I got to hang out with Betsy McHugh and drive her around, and escort her all over the place.
Fazio stayed in Connecticut.
Yeah, I think Fazio stayed up there.
Yeah, he did. He warmed out.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, hats off to you for going all the way down. No, I think his people told him that he had to stay, wanted him to stay in his home state. But hats off to you for getting down there and getting Betsy down there, particularly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
we're gonna be down here all day tomorrow. We'll be back Sunday morning.
All right, I've been posting your stuff along the way, so keep it up, man.
Right on.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care, man. Keep up the good
All
work.
right, man, I appreciate you.
All right,
Have a
take
good
care.
day.
You too. Bye. That is a real patriot, Sam Montville down there. So good to have him on.
Okay.
And yeah, it took me off the air with Facebook. Oh well.
Hey guys.
We're gonna come back real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, we're back. We're sorry about that. The technology which we're working on did not allow us to do our phone call to Mr. Montville here live on Facebook. We got it on Yankee T News on YouTube. So we're back, and Sam's having a good time down there.
So the Facebook crowd needs to know just what the hell happened.
Yeah.
This is astonishing. Out of all 50 states and the various territories that are a part of the United States, only one had a radio station present. That was Connecticut.
Hats off to Ted.
Oh man, Reese, you got yourself one hell of a feather in your cap there.
Yes, you did, sir. He probably didn't. I bet you didn't even know that until he got down there.
So what the?
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm like, wow. I mean, I thought there would have been other representations, but that's terrific. I mean, so good. Hats off to the. We'll have to give some credit to the Republican Party, and we often trash the Republican Party in Connecticut, but we're gonna have to give at least a little bit of credit, like Rob Sampson and for stepping up and going down there.
Yeah, well, I do not equate Rob Sampson with Ben Proto's party.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
Sampson's a good dude. I think Sampson's just surrounded by so many rhinos, he doesn't know what to do.
I think he does about as good a job as can be expected.
I agree. He's a good dude. I finally met him in person at the debate a couple months ago too, and yeah, I like him. So,
all right. So this has, something to think about. Is this turned out better than if Connecticut had done it right?
I agree.
So they handed us one. So your incompetence, Ned Lamont, made us look very smart.
That's right. Every time. Little brat.
That Yankee spirit enabled us to bring some of that Connecticut Yankee spirit.
We just need that guy from the Cadillac Ranch with a little snare drum and some Yankee Doodle. Let's throw that in there.
Yes. Well, with a little bit more time. I'm sure there'll be another event where we'll
have the 500th anniversary in 250 years. Let's go. I remember sitting on my couch. I have a very bad short-term memory, but I have a very good long-term memory. And I remember being 6 years old, sitting on my couch in the living room and watching a similar broadcast. I don't know what network. I think it was ABC actually, where they had these little clips of it was America's 200th anniversary at the time,
right,
and centennial, and they were showing clips of of our history, and that was one of the things that I think it was ABC, and they were throughout the year they would show these little 30-second, 40-second clips of these moments in our history, and that's one of the things that gave me the foundation of why I love this country so much as a small boy. I remember actually thinking, where am I going to be when they have the 250th?
You actually thought that thought?
I did think that thought.
Wow.
I didn't pick it apart, but it went through my mind. It did.
And here you are, 50 years later.
50 years later, a little more broken, but a little stronger and smarter, at least.
You've heard of the concept of anti-fragility?
Anti-fragility. Tell me about it.
It's a book, and it's a fascinating book. The metaphor or model is when you break a bone and it heals. Where the break was, the bone is now stronger. So this guy named Nicholas Taleb wrote a number of books. Black Swan was one, but this anti-fragility book I think is special because he was arguing that not so much from the point of view, say, of bones, but the idea of systems, banking systems, financial systems, and other things, such as when you have these bankruptcies and these economic crises, that there should be some mechanism, if you will, within the system that promotes, quote, anti-fragility. You learn from your mistakes and you become a stronger system as a result. And he spent, 300 pages exploring that idea. But it's fascinating stuff. He worked on trying to apply it to software and other things. And a lot of people picked up on it. So it's like one of these ideas that really made an impact, and it just worked its way into how people look at things in front of them. And you just don't hear much about it. There you go.
Well, I would have some inside information on the healing of. So when I was in 7th grade, I broke this pinky.
Yes.
By pinning my brother to the ground and jamming it into the ground straight down like that. And then in 2018, I broke this thumb playing baseball.
Okay.
On a pickoff play to first base. I was the first baseman.
Yes.
All it was a quick sweep tag pickoff play, and I almost picked the guy off. But I felt this excruciating pain in my thumb, and I thought I had only jammed it. So I stayed in the game for a couple more pitches. But the pain by the third pitch to the next batter was so excruciating. I took my glove off, and my thumb was bent at about a 45-degree angle this way at this joint.
Oh, nice. That's when you knew something's wrong here.
You know what I said?
What?
Time out.
Right.
Time out. Yeah, I came out of the game at that point. I made Melissa give it a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Put it back, and she put it back almost all the way, but the pain was so bad that I literally passed out. So I can say that I, like Reek from Game of Thrones, passed out from pain. Never ever passed out from pain? I did.
All right, hold on. We have a new entrant, Alan.
We have somebody here. There he is.
Hey,
what's up?
What's going on?
Now, wait a second. Are you going to tell me that's a green screen behind you, or is that really your home?
Phone did not heal.
That is one of the visual effects I have found online.
Okay, that's a good
one.
Looks
like a tequila sunrise.
It does. Which is a good song.
Great song.
It sounds like a vacuum cleaner in the background.
No, that's a fan going.
Oh,
Let me move it a little bit away from the microphone.
There you go. Better.
There you go.
Anyway, so I don't know if you heard, but so several people have gone down to Washington, D.C. to quote, man the Connecticut booth.
Right. And of course, it actually, I realized tonight, ruins my concept of the 10th Amendment fair.
Well, oh, why?
Well, because Rob Sampson's there, so he's part of the state government.
Well, Ned might disagree. And that
but the people did elect him.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Nonetheless, what's in it? We found out. So you have Reese on the radio. His, out of all 50 states, is the only radio station there at the whole fair.
Interesting. Now, is Reese on a real radio station, or is he doing
WTIC 1080 Hartford, baby? Can't get more real than that.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
The old Bob Steele channel. So yeah, they're arguably the biggest radio station in Connecticut. I mean, you might argue that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've met him. We like him. We think he's a good guy, etc., etc.
Yeah, he goes all over Ben Proto all the time. So you gotta like him for that.
Yes, that's right.
Anyone who calls out Ben is a friend of mine.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. Right there.
So yeah, with Reese.
But I was like itching today to go down there. Like, I don't know. I was trying to get someone to jump in a car, go down there with me, but I wasn't going to take the trip alone. And everybody's got plans by now. You know.
I got to work all weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it as a 34-hour trek. You know what I mean? With a lot of sleeping when you got home. But
So you're going to be dispatching on 4th of July?
Yep.
Boy, have you done that before?
Oh yeah.
Is it a little bit different from other days, or just like
people being stupid? Oh no, that's every day. People having parties and being stupid.
Probably more so on the 4th of July sometimes, right?
Yeah.
How many firework calls do you get every year?
Well, probably a couple of hundred.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Because you got to remember, especially when they legalized some fireworks in Connecticut, most of what people buy still are not the legal ones.
Yeah, everybody goes to New Hampshire to get them. Nobody wants to buy. You know what my friend told me once? The law in Connecticut is, it's called the Rice Krispie law.
Yep.
You can have snap and crackle, but no pop.
Yeah.
So
I think it's less than 1 gram of material, nothing airborne.
We go to New Hampshire every year for our pop.
People are crazy.
We're not doing it this
I
year.
may or may not have visited a town called Eaton, Pennsylvania.
May not have. Oh, I know. No way you were there. Too long. Too much of a trip.
There's a good brewery out there, and there's some other stores when you get right off the highway.
Mm-hmm. All right. So where now? How close to the border is Eaton?
It is the first town in Pennsylvania when you cross from New Jersey.
Ah, okay.
They know exactly where their marketing is because in Pennsylvania, oddly enough, the Pennsylvania residents cannot buy fireworks, but out-of-state residents can.
What?
That's a weird law. What? How's that?
So you have to go in and show ID.
You got to show your out-of-state ID?
Yes.
That's
and
really
then you
wild.
sign an affidavit that you don't live in Pennsylvania.
Well, that's really weird.
That's weird. All right.
It infuriates me as this is.
Yeah.
People don't realize how close Pennsylvania is to us.
It actually wasn't that far a trip. It was a couple of hours.
A couple hours. You can be in Scranton in like a little over 2 hours from here, and I'm in Eastern Connecticut, so 2.5 hours you're in Scranton.
So you get like M80s?
No, they have a lot of most of their stuff. I mean, I don't know. They got a bunch of airborne stuff. They got some stuff that makes some nice designs.
I don't even think you can even buy M80s anymore, even in New Hampshire. I don't think.
I kind of like the paratrooper ones. It's kind of like a little Roman candle, makes some sparks, but it sends a little plastic army man in a parachute up probably about 50, 60 feet, and then the parachute unfolds and he comes down to the ground. Oh
yeah, I've seen those. Those are cool.
I thought they were kind of cool.
They're one of the coolest looking ones that don't,
right. They don't really do much.
Yeah, they don't do much, but they're cool still.
But you get a free plastic army man. I mean,
I like smoke bombs. The real ones, not the little tiny ones. But this is a special day. Tomorrow is a special day. Court, I thought about after we decided that we weren't going to go to Washington. I thought, wait a minute, what about Independence Hall in Philadelphia? They must be doing something there. After all, that is where it happened. And so I looked into it, and I said, I was going to call you. I said, let's go down to Philadelphia and cover the Independence Hall ceremony, That would have been a good idea. It's not as far away either. But when I heard that Will Smith was hosting the concert that night, I said,
that's why you sent me that thing.
Forget about it.
I had debated going down to New York City tonight. If I didn't have to be at work at 7 a.m. tomorrow, I would. Because tonight at Times Square, there's supposedly going to be a Patriot takeover.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Because Socialist in Chief Mondami announced that he was canceling the ball drop. I don't know if you remember from last year, New Year's Eve. They announced that there were going to be 2 ball drops this year for the only time in New York City. One on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And the second one on July 3rd into July 4th, they have a second ball they're going to drop. It's supposed to be a red, white, and blue ball.
Yeah.
And they were going to make a big spectacle, a big party in Times Square for the 250th.
Yeah.
and Mondami canceled it.
Oh, yeah.
What was his excuse? The heat.
Well, he's a communist.
Apparently, the socialist paradise of where everything's free ran out of money.
Oh, they ran out of other people's money.
Hey, funny thing.
I guess Margaret Thatcher was right.
Yes.
Oh, ran out of other people's money. So now they're going to go down there and do it anyway. Obviously, absent the ball, but they're going to go down
I think the ball there was a question as whether the ball was going to drop or not, but they weren't going to allow concerts and stages, and there was supposedly going to be a lot of people heading down there with flags and.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. I hope somebody covers that. I could go cover that right now.
It's probably online.
I'm sure the naked cowboy will be there.
I'm sure. That's
now
right.
he turns out to be a really conservative guy.
All right.
And he was big with Curtis Sliwa for mayor.
Oh yeah.
Well, there are naked conservatives out there. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
naked conservatives. There you go.
Naked conservatism.
I don't know. Anyway, should we tackle the
I feel like I should be somewhere else besides here tomorrow, though. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
are you?
So, Alan, you're going to be busy tomorrow night, but what about you, Jason?
No, tomorrow night I'm not working. I get done at 3 p.m.
Oh, okay. Then you'll have time to come on. We can try and figure out a better way to celebrate America's 250 years. Tell some stories.
I think we should reenact the way we did it last time by shooting a bunch of British people.
Well,
look,
we know they aren't going to have guns.
They've never liked our independence. You know that? They've never liked it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, then you're going to really enjoy the special presentation I have tonight, Alan, which is about England.
Oh.
Yes. Let's see. Maybe why don't I start there since I brought it up? Here I go.
Do it. Show us the way.
Oink. All right, let's expand.
Okay.
Okay.
Numbers tonight. All right.
Okay. So the United Kingdom is manipulating American government. Now, would you regard that as a surprise?
I think on the surface of it, it sounds like a surprise, but no, when you really think about it, no, it's not a surprise. Because of what I just said, they've never liked our independence.
All right. So we have here, the UK is trying to get America into multiple wars. The UK is working on directing American foreign policy, especially in the Mideast. Lloyd's of London is not an insurance company. It is a tool of British foreign policy. British shadow companies are running drug cartels and human trafficking, and Britain is also working with Iran in the background. Take your pick.
I think they're all true.
Oh, I would say that they're all true.
But I would say that the fifth one is probably only a result of the massive infiltration of Muslim influence within Britain.
That would be a factor. That's possible, but I think
the mayor of London is Islam, so
yeah. Well, I mean, the idea is that we've had, at least in my mind, I'm thinking it started with all these rich Saudi investors who started buying up properties in London.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then from the Saudis we moved to, I don't know, take your pick. Who else? Jordanians.
Arab Emirates.
Yeah. All right. So yes,
Sudan, even
all rich countries. Yes.
Well, Sudan not rich, but yes.
So they, how do we deal with this? The Persian Gulf is an important source of income for the British, I'm going to say it, Empire, the British Empire. And the main way in which they get their money is through Lloyd's of London, okay? But Lloyd's of London, as I am suggesting, is also used to, how would I say this, shape the decisions that are made by policymakers in our country and other countries with a view towards, how should I say, giving favoritism to the British in terms of how they function economically. And people don't think of Lloyd's of London that way. So the other way of looking at this is that all this stuff is how should I say this? The British Empire lives on. What do you think, Alan?
I don't know. It's a very weird thing because they seem to have replaced the empire with their dominion. They seem to be okay with that, but then there are certain areas that are still imperial.
They continue their influence with their economics and they've always had the strongest banks. They've always had, like, the Rothschild family is still a very world influential family behind the scenes, like the Rockefellers of Europe, essentially. I think they're doing it through their central banking systems. They're like the loan sharks they're still one of the biggest loan sharks in the world, I think. That's where their influence is. It's an economic powerhouse more than, obviously not a military one anymore. But
yes, and I think their banks do a lot of money laundering.
They do a lot of money. They're like almost like the Swiss on steroids when it comes to, to launder money and move money around. And they're still a wealthy nation, even though I don't think they show up on the books as one of the most wealthy nations anymore. I think the reality of it is that they are.
That's not what they announced the other day.
No, that's not what they're announcing, but I think they're a lot wealthier than it's being said.
Well,
I'm still trying to figure out why we are the partners we are with England. They are literally our first enemy that we ever had.
But we also look at them as like our mother.
Yes.
That we some people look at it as their first enemy that we ever had. Others look at it like, well, we just grew up and left our house. We still love our mother.
Yeah, I mean, we have deep roots: British, Scottish, Irish, right?
Yeah.
And those clearly influence how we look upon, quote, the United Kingdom.
Well, let's be fair. England is not a country that is espoused in freedom and human rights. It never has been, and it's other than maybe a brief time in the late 20th century. Britain has been more of a tyrannical existence.
Yeah, but we still point to something like the Magna Carta as a predecessor, a precursor for the Constitution.
Yeah, the British were instrumental in checking the power of the king. There is no doubt about that. But that's in terms of self-determination. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I would say, but there's still a personal element. I mean, all right, sorry, in my case, I'm half British. I may have a Polish name, but on my mother's side, it's British. Okay, and
I was adopted into a family of Scottish and English heritage, Tobys and Douglases.
Yes, and
I'm
Alan,
actually Italian.
and Alan identifies strongly with the Scottish.
Yes, I do.
My stepfather is
Where are your kilts?
In the other room right now.
Oh, okay.
You ever played a set of bagpipes before?
Nope.
Okay.
I picked up a chanter for a while. I kind of dropped off from trying to learn it.
Yeah, they look hard to play.
I've heard it said that it takes 7 years to master it. That being said, I know a bunch of guys that formed a band, and within about a year and a half, they were playing a couple of songs.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
What is this thing?
They keep inviting me to join the band.
And what
You keep politely declining. Maybe someday.
Nah, I have a problem with some of the band members.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh God.
I'm still looking for a band. Looking for a good electric ukulele player. Down.
Oh, by the way, I did discover that there is a ukulele band in Norwich, Connecticut.
No kidding.
Yes.
So the Ricos and Westport has a monthly ukulele meetup.
There you go.
Down. I'll have to make one of those.
Where is it again? Westport?
Yeah.
The Rico's Pizza in Westport.
Rico's Pizza. Oh my God.
I'll have to bring my baby blue down sometime.
Now, is there something special about that ukulele, Jason?
Yeah.
No, it's basically it was a guy who walked in right after they reopened and said, "Hey, I've got a ukulele club, and we need a place to have our meeting, and we play some music. Is it okay if we come here?" And so they said, "Yeah, you come in on a night when nothing's really happening." But he says, I know one of the owners says they're actually getting a crowd now. People are coming to watch the ukulele players.
No kidding, huh?
I'm sorry. I look upon the ukulele as perhaps a charming and entertaining instrument, but a rather limited instrument.
Well, it doesn't have the scales of a guitar. That's obviously the case. But
yes,
my son claimed that I couldn't play the blues on a ukulele. I proved him wrong.
Oh,
I can play the blues on a ukulele.
Well, where is your ukulele?
It's about 15 feet away from me right now. I'm not going to get it right now.
Prove it to me.
There was an interesting instrument for a while that kind of came and went very quickly.
No.
Called a McNally's Strumstick.
A strumstick.
A strumstick, and basically it was a 3-string, very similar to a ukulele, but instead of being guitar shaped, picture a long, thin stick, but with a kind of a triangular bell on it.
I could kind of imagine that. All right.
So like a very small triangle, and you only played the frets on one string. The other two were drones. So in that regard, it would be similar to a bagpipe.
Okay. All right. That doesn't sound like the blues to me, boy.
Yeah, that's all you had to do. All right, no, I'm not going to play it right now.
You're not going to play the blues right now.
No. But I will
play something patriotic.
Yeah, I could play some patriotic. I could play the Star Spangled Banner, or I could play the Walton's theme.
Walton's theme. Is that patriotic?
All right, no. I could play For Your Blue by the Beatles, pretty good, but it's been a while, so I'll take the challenge and I'll come back another day. I'll play some blues for you on the ukulele. We'll be ready for it, people.
We'll take.
Tune in. It's coming.
We'll take Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Just seeing this news coming in, it came in an hour ago.
Yeah.
ICE officials just conducted the largest single operation in DHS history, arresting over 450 undocumented immigrants in a worksite raid at a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia.
All right.
Very nice.
Now we're talking.
But
here's the thing. This has been going on for how long? How long have these illegals been working at that plant?
Some of them a long time.
Well, anyway, so speaking of Georgia, did you hear about what has happened with the election fraud investigation?
What has happened?
As the headline says, hundreds of analysts have been added to reviewing all the different records from those boxes they confiscated several months ago.
I hope that once it's great that we're uncovering election fraud from the past, but I hope there's an equal number of zealot effort in preventing more election fraud in the future is what we're really interested in at this point. What's done is done.
Okay, well, this will be tough in my view, but not impossible. I guess one other thing I want to throw in here, I didn't put it on our topic list tonight. Act Blue, anybody following what's happening? I told you about Act Blue.
No.
Right. So Alan, you know who Act Blue is.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, so the news really broke when they were caught engaging in what's called smurfing. So smurfing is where, let's take Jason as an example. Jason gets a call one day. He says, Mr. Douglas, thank you very much for contributing so much money to our party.
That was
what are you talking about? I didn't do that. Well, yeah, we've got like 3,000 contributions here from you over the last year. We want to thank you very much. That's right. Somebody stole your name. Somebody stole your identity and used it to at least pretend that there were donations made to Act Blue.
Okay. Something that you probably would not want to donate to on your own.
Well, so the problem is that there are a number of elected officials, names escape me at the moment, who have been caught having used smurfing for their campaigns.
Oh boy!
So nobody got them at the time, but now the hens are coming home to roost. Well, ain't that sweet?
Wow.
So, all right. So that's part one, the smurfing. Part two was the recent testimony by the current CEO, some fat chick who's supposed to be running this Act Blue organization. So she was testifying under oath before Congress concerning certain practices. So get ready. She pled the fifth 168 times.
One for each hour of the week.
No, that would be one for each question she was asked. Now, I'm trying to figure out, well, what were these 168 questions that they needed to ask her? That's a lot of questions.
Right, especially since at most congressional hearings, here's how the question goes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. But first, by way of asking this question, I'm going to tell you a story. Now, this story is not really a story, but it's going to be a statement. Now, the statement I make is the question, but I'm not actually going to ask you the question because I have to talk let's see, they've given me 10 minutes to ask this, so I'm going to take 9 minutes and 30 seconds to make a political speech, and then I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Well, I don't think that's what happened here. Nope.
And unfortunately, both parties do it because they know, especially now in the internet age, and with platforms like our own YouTube and everything, they know that speech will get cut up and clipped up, and they'll get, look at what Senator Smith said. Look at what Congressman Jones said. They're great Americans. They made a statement.
Okay, well, in the meantime, though, I understand what you're saying, but in the meantime, should I just call this article BS if they're claiming that she pled the fifth 168 times?
No.
That would kind of get your attention.
But also they don't care, because unless you're a Republican, I mean, Steve Bannon, you're in contempt of Congress. How many Democrats have been charged with being contempt in Congress?
0, I'm pretty sure.
How many have gone to jail for it?
0, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All right. Understood. We've seen this.
So I did one of my usual online pastimes, which is taking on Senator Mike Lee.
Mike Lee. Now, why you got a thing with Mike Lee?
Because Mike Lee's part of the problem. He's controlled opposition. He's allowed to sit there and go, yap, 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 save America, save America. I would have passed this bill if I were John Thune.
Wait, are you telling me that he voted against the Save America Act?
He didn't, because it hasn't come to a vote. See, I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to do this thing.
There was something happened. There was a vote that was taken a couple
there were 50 votes, but nobody could break the tie, because where was the president of the Senate? What's that guy's name again? J.D. something? That's right. He has never once set foot in his Senate office because he's waiting to become President Vance.
I'm not
Which he knows when Thune and Johnson hand the midterms over to the Democrats, they will impeach and convict Trump, and President Vance will strut in there like a frickin' peacock and go, look at me, I'm here.
They're not going to convict President Trump. They're not going to get 2/3 of the vote. That's not going to happen.
I think
they might impeach him, but they're not going to convict him.
I don't know.
They're going to need 2/3. They're not going to get that much.
But again, there are two things that Senator Lee could do right now. Well, maybe not right now tonight, but he could do it on Monday morning. Number one is he could object to a pro forma session. By Senate rules, one senator objecting means no pro forma session.
Oh, and what exactly is a pro forma session?
A pro forma session is when one senator, handpicked by Leader Thune, Supreme Leader Snoke, comes into the Senate every morning with a gavel and says, I am here to conduct business. Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here? Seeing no quorum, the meeting is adjourned. And he bangs the gavel. But by doing that, the Senate has been in session that day. And when the Senate's in session, even though 99 of them are on vacation,
yes,
no recess appointments.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Every morning, a senator walks in and goes, seeing nobody, I'm going home.
So this is Mike Lee?
No, well, he's one of them. He was scheduled to do one, and there were so many calls to his office that he didn't show up. But somebody else did. Thune had a replacement in line. But again, all he has to do is be there as the second and object to the pro forma session. And the whole thing falls apart. But why won't he? Because he plays the game like everybody else. The second thing he could do is he could be one of 5 senators to raise the point to remove the leader. But he will not. Because, as I have accused him many times, I have asked him why he gets down on his knees and worships John Thune like the demigod that he is.
It just sounds like, there's some kind of what we'll call hidden power that a leader, like a Senate majority leader, might have.
And where does the Senate majority leader derive that power?
Well, 2 things. One is going to be from the fact that he was elected to that position, but the second is it's all the years of being there and having piled up all these political chits.
What section of the Constitution is the Senate majority leader's position in?
I have no idea.
It's not. There are 2 positions in the Senate, in the Constitution.
Pro tem.
There is the president of the Senate, which is the vice president of the United States. And there's the president pro tem, which is currently Mr. Chuck Grassley.
Okay.
Now, Chuck Grassley's only barely more alive than Mitch McConnell right now.
Well, I think he's doing better than that. I mean, when I listen to him, he seems pretty coherent.
And I don't think he'd be any better than Thune. But the bottom line is it is his job to preside over the Senate when the vice president is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, does he? No, because they have abdicated this role to some guy named the leader.
Mm-hmm. This is all very disappointing.
Well, freedom is a
Mike
rare
Lee,
thing, and it gets
Mike Lee just posted
Yeah.
that George Washington will be happy to see that we have made it 250 years, and he would want us to pass the Save America Act.
I would agree wholeheartedly on that.
However,
So my remark was George Washington would also expected the senators to step down after a short time of service and make way for more citizen legislators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pass term limits.
Well,
I think term limits are overrated.
Well, no, it looks like, I mean,
I agree, because term limits don't solve the problem.
No, they don't solve the problem. And people forget that term limits can also take good people out. That might be someone we'd want in there for a lifetime because they're so patriotic and good. It's going to limit their stay as well.
Well, but you got to remember, everybody who looks at term limits, they don't really look at term limits because they understand that they really want to keep people in office. So when they say, like, they'll say, well, you should only be able to do 6 years in Congress, followed by 6 years as a Senate, followed by 6 years of this, followed by 6 years of that. You know, Chris Shea is a nominally Republican guy who never had a job in his life.
Rhino.
That's why I said nominally.
yes.
Never had a job, ran while he was in college for state representative in Connecticut.
I thought he was in real estate.
Well, you know, he did some things. I guess he had some no-show jobs, kind of like those mobsters that are contractors, but never show up on a work site. He was a college student who ran for state rep. He did a few years as a state rep, then went to state senate, then ran for U.S. Congress. And I'm pretty sure if he hadn't lost the congressional seat, he probably would have run eventually for U.S. Senate.
Okay.
So would term limits help somebody in his position? No, because he kept switching offices.
Good point. Okay. All right.
Term limits are also equal opportunity destruction. You're taking people out of office that may or may not be people you want to be in there. So,
well, you're right, but I do believe that limited time in office makes room for other people because we've seen too many people. I'll use Carl Higbee as an example.
No, I don't think term limits are necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think they're going to solve everybody's problems like a lot of people think they will. Well, yeah.
And again, it doesn't stop me from being corrupt and then making way for you to come in and be corrupt.
Right. The next guy in line for the corruption, right? Gets handed down just as easily as anything else.
But you know what? Remember when Carl Higbee was running for Congress and he was basically told by the Greenwich RTC, wait your turn, kid.
Like it's an anointment.
But we wouldn't have wait your turn if openings actually came up more often.
Yeah, right.
Court's only got one more year on his term. We better make room for Jason to run.
Might have to wait 174 years before the thing opens up.
Right. So I think we would get some new blood. Now, whether that new blood will be what we want is a whole other matter. The idea that these positions should be rotational
just adds a little more difficulty for the corruption, but it certainly won't take it away.
And of course, the other thing I think is if we did pass term limits, they would have to be phased in, and I'm not sure what that would look like. Because if you imagine, let's just say we put a 10-year limit on holding office.
If you're already elected, you're in office, then you're grandfathered in. It's for anyone new.
Well, and then we don't really have term limits because even AOC, who's on her second term, would be grandfathered in. To serve for life.
It would grandfather in those that are still in, so it wouldn't take effect until everybody's dead. That's already. It
would take 100 years.
Yeah, or 50 years, probably not 100 years, but it would take a career span, right? Like a career span, 40, 50 years.
I think you'd have to phase it in only because there are so many people that would violate the term limit now.
Mm-hmm.
The loss of the knowledge base would be immense. Now, it would drive Congress to a screeching halt, which might not be a bad thing. But you would have to almost figure out some kind of random system that says, you know what, we're going to implement term limits, and no more than 10% are going to come up in a year. And I don't know how they'd pick who were the ones.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you could work out a system.
You know, the legislature was supposed to be a part-time adventure anyway. It was almost supposed
exactly
to be for part. And in theory, if you think about it, you have a society, you pass a set of laws that govern the society. You shouldn't need anything new, unless there's maybe some new technology you have to figure out. Other than that, there's no reason to, like, for instance, we now have speed cameras in Connecticut and more towns. Well, in the 1980s, I believe that was found to be unconstitutional. East Hartford tried to put speed cameras in, and they said it was unconstitutional. Now here we are 30 years later, the heck with it, we're doing it anyway.
Right.
Well, now you have the license plate readers, and I think they're getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're finding out that the towns don't own their data. The camera company does.
Okay, well, not only that, but they've made a lot of mistakes with these license readers.
Well, they do make mistakes, but not in the way people think.
Yeah, they're not often, probably.
Well, mistake.
I look at the license plate readers every day.
Yes.
And here's the thing that happens: it comes into an alert and says 123 ABC is a plate you're looking for, and here's the picture we took of it, and it turns out not to be 123 ABC, but 123A8C. Oh, and that's not an Illinois plate; that's a Hawaii plate. Okay, and I look at that and go, okay, disregard that one. Now, true AI would go, I have never been wrong in my life because I don't even have a life because I'm AI, and you need to go arrest that person.
Essentially, well, but this is the story. There was this one case of this guy who has been repeatedly stopped by the police, including having guns pointed at him, because they thought they had the right person based upon the license plate, and it turned out
again human error. Now, Connecticut is one of the few states that issues the same plate number in multiple classes.
Multiple classes.
Yeah.
So Connecticut has over 30 different classes of license plate,
and they use different numbering systems so they can overlap.
But they don't.
How many have you seen when you say you read the license plates on the readers? How many do you see where you don't see a number at all? It's like a reflection back at you.
Not too many, but there are those filter.
They buy those things they can put over it that causes a glare.
Those are mostly to deflect lasers, because when they switched from radar to lasers for speed enforcement, they were teaching police officers to point at the license plate with the laser because it's an easy target.
Mm-hmm.
But they came up with these diffraction numbers that go over your license plate, and it disrupts the laser, and the laser can't get a good speed reading.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny thing is, if you pointed at another part of the car, you'd get a good speed reading.
Interesting.
Well, eventually,
they were teaching people go for the obvious target.
Mm-hmm. Right. In the meantime, though, the flock cameras are also getting into trouble.
And again, it requires a human review. There was a garbage truck that would come out of the dump every day in Stamford and would hit, because the garbage truck had one extra letter on it, but the camera would pick it up as like a stolen Volvo out of somewhere in the Midwest.
Okay, case in point. There you go.
But again, it alerts, it pops up on the screen, you look at it and go, that's obviously not it. So if these cops are pulling a car over and going, well, this must be it. Now, we did have an interesting thing in the days before cameras, when Amber Alerts were fairly new. An Amber Alert came out in Connecticut for a kidnapping. I think it was actually a custodial interference, but missing girl, like 3 or 4, I believe, taken by her dad. And he's in, let's say, a gray car with 123 ABC on it. They put out this Amber Alert. Now, Amber Alert's got all our cell phones. It goes up on all the highway signs. Everybody in the world gets to see this Amber Alert. Well, seems the car he was in was a rental car. And here's a little thing you don't realize about the rental cars. The rental companies buy tons of cars. Not unusual for them to buy 100 cars at a clip.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go to Ford, they say we want 100 cars. Ford gives them the next 100 off the assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
All the same color. And then they go to a state where they're going to put those cars, and they say I need 100 license plates, and they get 100 sequential license plates. You know how many people called in and said, I see the gray Ford with 123 ABC on it? What they really were finding was the gray Ford with 124 ABC. Because some poor guy taking his daughter on a trip had rented the car next to the car that the kidnapper was in. What? He got pulled over 3 times in Stamford alone.
At gunpoint, probably.
Now, had it been me, I would have stopped, pulled over the car, and called the rental company and said, "You're bringing me a new car with a different color, different make, different model, and you're flatbedding it out to me right now."
Mm.
All right, gentlemen. With that, I'm going to check out. I got duties to do. I'll let you guys finish up.
Sure. Okay. I'll see you, Jason.
God bless America for Common Sense News Entertainment. Good night, everybody. Carry it on, Court and Alan. Take care.
Right, manana.
Actually, I got to look at see what we're doing on YouTube right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got 2 likes and there's only 1 watching.
Oh, it says here. I see 2 watching supposedly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but hey, thank you, and thank you to whoever number 3 is who just showed up. Okay, we appreciate it. Believe me. So the thing that what Jason felt that he had the world's solutions to what's going on with anti-Semitism, but he didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Oh no.
So oh well.
Well, I think we have 2 problems with anti-Semitism.
Yes.
One is actual anti-Semitism. That's obviously the big dog in the room.
Okay. Yes.
And then we have all the people that are crying anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything is Semitism, just like not everything is racism.
Yeah. Well, my problem is I keep making excuses for all that whining because there are, at least I see 2 motivating factors here. The first is they worry about losing public support. And Israel is but one country in the Middle East. They're surrounded. Even if Egypt is working with them, they're still technically surrounded by enemies.
Absolutely. But do they really need public support?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the horrific attacks on October 7th.
Right.
Okay. Israel gets attacked. Israel responds in kind. They defended themselves. We, in this country at least, we say there's an absolute right to self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with them going and defending themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need my opinion? Does it matter what my opinion of their self-defense is? They're still going to go defend themselves.
As they should, yes.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think they need public, except for the Israeli citizens, because obviously they have an elected parliament like we have an elected Congress.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure they need public opinion.
Well, think of the opposite. What is it if they are confronted with having a lot of nations who are extremely critical of them?
Which they have right now. And what happened? The World Court in The Hague, which was a joke, issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. Okay. So he just doesn't go to any of those countries that say they're going to honor the
I think we can call that a stunt. That's fine.
It is.
But I think the real problem becomes, as a small nation, they still need to develop their economy on an international basis. So you have to have good relations with other countries if you're going to do that. At least that's how I understand it.
Sorry, I got to move my screen a little bit.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting because I looked at going to Israel once.
Yeah.
Well, twice, actually. Once I almost took a job out there.
Uh-huh.
But I also looked at having a terrible time adjusting this.
Okay. Take your time.
But I also looked at a vacation out there. I wanted to go see the Holy Land. And my wife wanted to go see Egypt.
Right.
And discovered that if you want to go to both Egypt and Israel, you either have to go to Egypt first, Or ask the Israelis to stamp your passport on a separate blank piece of paper, which they will do for you. Because Egypt does not recognize Israel as a nation, and they will not let you into the country of Egypt if you have ever had an Israeli passport stamp.
To this day?
Yep.
What was it? All that stuff with the deal with Egypt way back when under Carter? What was that all about?
Yeah, with Anwar Sadat and all that stuff.
Yeah. What happened?
Don't know. The Egyptian authorities will not let you into Egypt if you have. They look through every page in your passport, and if there is an Israeli stamp there, you do not get to come in.
All right, I have to check this. It could be the one weird way I'm afraid. Does Egypt recognize the legitimacy of Israel? Well, it says that they recognize the legitimacy of Israel.
Interesting.
So back in
this was a few years ago, but
let's see. How about the terms? Let's see. Maybe this will help. Territorial provisions. Israel withdrew from the Sinai Peninsula. It was demilitarized. So it says here, Egypt recognized Israel's right to exist as a sovereign state. The treaty set a precedent for future peace efforts. Both nations committed to maintaining peace. I mean, that's more or less been my understanding of how it's been going all these years. But you're telling me otherwise.
But yeah, here's the interesting thing. There's a section of Egypt, and I can't remember what it's called. It's basically a resort area along the border. Mm-hmm. They get a lot of Israeli visitors. I don't know how the Israeli citizens are doing it, and the Israelis let Egyptians in freely.
Okay, well, then that sounds like they're doing okay.
Right. So, I mean, again, they've got neighbors that are their enemies, but they all kind of recognize that Mideast tourism is the way they all make money. When the Muslim Brotherhood took over in Egypt, they had plans to blow up the pyramids because they were offensive to Allah. And then somebody told them, you realize you're not going to have an income if you blow up the pyramids. People come to see the pyramids.
Yeah, well, I just the point is being made over and over again, Alan. We cannot coexist with Muslims.
No, we can't.
And it's stuff like this where they will willingly destroy things like these incredible pyramids. They just, wow, guys, you are really off the deep end here. So, but let's go down this path because I think it's important. Now, to be clear, or let me try it this way. Of the two major branches, and maybe this is not the right way to look at it, but of the two major branches, Sunni and Shia, which one do you think is much more intent upon destroying the infidel?
I'm not sure it matters much, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, one may want to destroy the infidel first, and then the other one. The other one just wants to destroy the other one first, and then the infidel.
Yeah.
It may just be a matter of them ranking us differently in the death list.
Okay. Well, let me try this another way. The core of Shia Islam is Iran. I think it's the largest concentration of Shia Muslims in the whole Islamic world.
Right.
Okay. Well, if they get taken down a notch, that's going to, I think, have a negative impact on the influence of Islam in the world in general.
Well, there's a couple of things going on with this. Number one is, and I think they do need to be taken down a notch. And look, we still owe them for 1979.
We still owe them?
Yeah, we owe them retribution.
Oh, I see. According to that, yes. All right. Yes. All right.
Okay. They've been our enemies since they took our hostages.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with attacking them, but it does appear that this was really, well, Israel wants to go make this move now. Because, I mean, look, we've been enemies with Iran since 1979, and we haven't done crap about it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Israel says, "Hey, we don't like Iran anymore. We want to go bomb them up." And hey, America, want to come for a ride? And we go, "Yep, absolutely."
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
Road
think
trip sounds like a good idea.
Well, we see. First of all, we know that we were given bad information by the Israelis, suggesting that just by bombing them extensively like this, that the government would collapse.
Right.
Didn't happen.
And there were, again, I think there were a couple of things that weighed into that. Number one is the Iranian people, even the ones that want the government to go, they have no idea how to make the government go.
I would agree with you. Yep.
They've lost the revolutionary spirit. The best they can come up with is, you know what we should do to replace this regime? We should totally bring back the king. Oh, wait, he's dead.
Yeah.
How about the king's kid? He lives in America. Yeah, let's bring him back. And he goes, but I don't want to be king.
Right.
Well, would he come back for a little bit and be king? Because we don't know what to do.
Okay, so all of that said, you still see these efforts, right, at trying to create some form of resistance on the ground against the IRGC. And, you know, just in the last couple of weeks, has there been any kind of indication of any fighting? You know, the first I heard of the Kurds actually clashing with the IRGC were about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And then you had these demonstrations in these cities in western Iran. And then there was a student protest before that, and that's about it. And, you know, again, it's one thing to protest. It's another thing to know how to politically organize. And it's still another thing to know how to put up an alternative government.
Well, and there is a thing too, and I think we see it in this country.
Yeah.
Pick a cause, any cause, and have a protest about it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than going there and waving some signs around and chanting your slogan, nobody really has a clue. As much as the Democrats want to say that January 6th was an insurrection, it was a pretty piss-poor insurrection, if you ask me. Nobody brought weapons. Nobody had a plan to replace the government. It wasn't really an insurrection the way we think of an insurrection.
Yeah, well, this is like, I mean, because the other times these Iranians have gotten out in the street has been kind of the same thing.
I mean, even look at the Summer of Love with the Floyd riots. People were pissed off at stuff. They went and burned down some businesses that had nothing to do with what they were pissed off about, but they had no plan what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Even look at what was when they seceded, when they claimed to have seceded in Washington.
You know,
they didn't have a plan.
I mean, Chaz or whatever.
Chaz, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take these few blocks. We're gonna say it's ours and not yours. But oh wait, there's a fire over here. We still need Seattle to come in and put the fire out. Oh, there's a sick person. We need Seattle to send us an ambulance.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very quick, harsh lesson in how bad things can get if you're
not quick enough.
Well, pretty damn quick.
I would have surrounded them. I'll bet you I could have got them to end in 24 hours.
Okay, but you know, not everybody's ready for this. I think you.
No, but you know what? There's a couple of things you do. Number one is you surround them and you say, okay, nobody comes in, nobody comes out. You want to be an independent nation in the middle of Seattle? Fine, be independent. You have no supply chain. There's a blockade.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
oh, you need food, you need medicine? Sorry, should have thought about that. You got no infrastructure in your independent country.
Mm.
Second of all, there were people that lived that were not part of Chaz that lived in the area Chaz claimed.
That's correct. And that for them,
now,
was horrible.
Think about this. What would we do if that was, say, Iran and we wanted to get some regime change going in there?
You know, it's just
we send the CIA in and go drop off guns.
Yeah.
What if I did that? If I were mayor of Seattle and I walked out and I made it known, anyone who lives in Chaz who does not like Chaz gets a free gun.
Yeah, that would end it the quickest of all.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
so,
it's not. You might be able to charge them with war crimes, but I don't think you can charge them with anything else because they said they're not part of Seattle anymore.
Okay, but this is just what, a few blocks. Okay.
You're right. But again, nobody. What I'm saying is that nobody who does any of this stuff has any concept of what to do next.
Okay.
When we read in the history about the revolution, which of course we're reading this weekend about constantly,
mm-hmm.
and maybe it's the color of the fact that we won. But it sounded like everybody had a plan. We formed a Continental Congress. The Congress wrote the Declaration of Independence. We formed up local militias. We had a plan.
Yeah, well, it was a rough plan.
Very rough. And I don't think they had any idea they were going to win. I think they were kind of surprised when they won.
I mean, every time, it was the way I would describe it. Let's just say it was James Madison. Okay, Articles of Confederation were not working. That which constituted the United States was looking in really rough shape. And so then it's James Madison. He writes a letter to Thomas Jefferson. And then he goes and talks to Benjamin Franklin and doing a show. All right. Thomas Jefferson. And then finally, somebody contacts George Washington and says, we need to do this convention. But the whole process, it was like one person talking to another person, trying to persuade another person. And even then, knowing that what you had put together was pretty fragile and it wasn't going to become anything until the big guy showed up.
Well, and again, I think the problem with the Articles of Confederation, which sometimes I do think we should seriously consider going back to, was having come from the tyranny that was England, we prized our independence so much that we couldn't bring ourselves to not be independent even of each other.
When you say independent,
so we had a confederation, but it was a loose confederation, and we really didn't want any kind of federal government, a minimalist federal government, because we'd just come out of a federal government system.
So I'm sure somebody's written this paper, but it sounds to me like the Articles of Confederation reflected what we'll call a Jeffersonian vision of government.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'll give you an idea where I've heard a similar in a more modern time in the 1970s, and I've been told this was the religious story of 1977. There was a group called the Fellowship of Concerned Churchmen.
The Fellowship
of Concerned Churchmen, and they were a group of Episcopalians that didn't like what was going on in the Episcopal Church, and they were able to get together and form a Congress called in St. Louis. Now, again, this is before what we now consider modern communications. This took letter writing and conferences and phone calls.
Right.
And people got together and said, okay, we're going to have a conference in St. Louis, and they produced a document called the Affirmation of St. Louis. And it ultimately led to them leaving the Episcopal Church. And it's like, okay. But one of the big things that they were rallying against was the Episcopal Church had passed a few years before a rule that said, even if you bought and paid for and built your own church building, you were really holding it in trust for the bigger church. So as different congregations moved to leave, the Episcopal Church said, no, you don't own that building you own. We own the building you own. And they ended up going through multiple court cases, and they were still having these cases up into the 2000s.
Amazing. Yeah, all right.
Now, the churches that formed out of this movement, because they saw property rights as such a huge thing, almost every one of them to a T put into their new rules, each individual congregation owns their church and property and building outright. Because they weren't going to have that problem they had with the last totalitarian relationship. We weren't going to have a King of England anymore. Well, what happened? Churches leave these jurisdictions and go hopping over to another jurisdiction all the time. And there's nothing they can do about it because they put a rule in to make sure it would never be the Episcopalians again.
What?
So because the Episcopal Church was asserting property rights that may or may not have been dubious, these new groups that formed put a rule in that says no one else can assert property rights over your property. But as a result, as people get pissed off at these new groups, they leave, they come, they go, they form something new. And there's no real cohesion anymore in a lot of these groups because in the knee-jerk reaction to the Episcopal Church, they put in something that said, hey, we're not going to let that happen again. And the protection came back kind of in a way to bite them in the ass. And I look at that with the Articles of Confederation and say, okay, we didn't want Parliament in charge. We didn't want a king. Let's put a rule in that says nobody can be in charge of us. Okay, well, I'm Delaware. I'm going to do what Delaware wants. Well, New York doesn't like that much Delaware. Too bad. We're Delaware. What are you going to do about it, New York?
Not trade with you.
Well, actually, in some cases, it was go to war with you.
Oh, did you ever hear the Battle of Wyoming?
The name sounds familiar.
1778 in Pennsylvania. So there was a Wyoming, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And apparently this was very important, but we never heard about this.
Well, remember New York and Connecticut went to war?
Let's see, when was that?
I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was over the Western Reserve because the charter for Connecticut had no western border, so in theory went to the Pacific. And the charter for New York had no northern border, so in theory went up to the Arctic. The problem is where those two pieces of property, where those two claims crossed, there was disputed land.
Okay.
And New York and Pennsylvania had the same thing. They had border disputes all the time, and there was no one who could step in. Because in our zeal to not be under a king, we made sure that we had no royalty. We made sure we had no parliament. We made sure what passed for a Congress was very toothless.
Yes, this we remember. Now, also, the other thing I'm trying to square in my head here is the whole Federalist, anti-Federalist debate didn't start until the Constitutional Convention.
I'm sure it had started before that, but the papers were being written as we were writing down laws and saying, hey, what if we did this?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that because that goes against this concept.
Well, we've never read the all right. Note to self. Note to self. Consult the anti-Federalist papers. After all, it turned out they were right.
Yeah.
So yes. And anyways, the Battle of Wyoming, I just took a quick look at it. Apparently it was a massive defeat for the Americans in that battle.
Interesting.
Right. But long forgotten. But that's it. If you look at the, if one would look at a list of all the battles that went on during the American Revolutionary War, it was kind of 50-50. We won about as many as we lost.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what it's worth. Anyway,
Let's see. It says, following the British defeat at Saratoga in 1777 and the subsequent Franco-American alliance, British forces sought to recruit loyalists and Iroquois allies to harass American settlements. Colonel John Butler organized loyalist forces known as Butler's Rangers, while Seneca and Mohawk leaders mobilized native warriors to conduct raids against frontier settlements. Lost about 300 patriots under Colonel Zebulon Butler.
Embarrassing. I don't know. Were they outthought? Let's see.
I don't know, because there's a lot of stuff going on. When I watched a Turn, which was about Washington's spies,
yeah,
and they talked about Rogers Rangers, and they talked about and even in the book when I read it, they talked about how war was changing. Washington was reluctant to use espionage because espionage was not considered gentlemanly.
Well, that didn't last very long.
But at last, some people say he didn't get into espionage fast enough.
What do you mean? When did the Culpeper ring start?
A couple of years into the war.
Yes, didn't you choose a nickname from a spy from the Culpeper ring?
Yes.
Yes.
Sam Culper.
All right, so.
But before that was Nathan Hale.
Uh-huh.
And he left from Norwalk, Connecticut, made it to New York City.
Bad role model there.
But he didn't know what was going on. He was a young school teacher, although he was only 21, so he hadn't even been a teacher that long.
Mm-hmm.
Left Norwalk, went into New York City, and asked too many questions and got hung for it.
And did it in what I understand to have been a rather sloppy way. He definitely lacked nuance, you might say.
Yes. But again, there was no one to show him the ropes because spies were considered to be scallywags and rogues and one step above pirates. And then you had the Rangers. You had Rogers Rangers, and he was sort of working for the British and sort of working for whoever would pay him. But again, he had a bunch of people that had zero military discipline.
Yeah, there you go.
They engaged in what would now call guerrilla warfare, and frankly, we have Army Rangers because of these Ranger units that got started. We still use the name.
But we hear these stories about how the spy ring was pretty effective.
It was, once they got going, and once Washington finally said, okay, I can use this information.
Okay.
Remember, we caught Benedict Arnold by mistake.
Well, that was my next comment. Catching Benedict Arnold, was that a function of what? The spy ring?
No, that was somebody who caught his messenger.
All right. So that's just in the matter of course of, patrolling, stuff like that. Okay.
In the matter of patrolling, they caught a guy, I believe, had a letter from Benedict Arnold to his British handler hidden in his boot.
Yeah, well, they're pretty stupid back then, as far as I'm concerned, when it came to those things. As part of the same.
Well, you think about it, like go to any of the reenactments or go to any of the historic forts and watch how they're having their battles where everybody lines up in a certain pattern and
right.
Every third rifle fires, and that was the way war was conducted. There was a certain choreography to it.
Yeah.
And then the Rangers show up and hide behind trees with them engines and lob rocks and muskets at people. And
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, there's an interesting new book coming out. Have you heard of this guy, O'Donnell? I'm trying to remember his first name. James O'Donnell, Peter O'Donnell. He's a historian.
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, he wrote this book that I was all rage about. Here, why don't we just pull up some of his titles here? Just take a second. O'Donnell. What is this? Come on, guys. O-D-O-N. Let's see. American Revolutionary War Historian. Yes. Okay. He's written numerous books delving into. Let's see. Well, find the latest one. Yeah. So one is The Indispensables. That's the one. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Right. The Indispensables was focused on the people who worked most closely with Washington. These were the Marbleheaders. Have you heard of them?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to read the book.
Okay.
So the Marbleheaders were basically part of a fishing community. And these guys, they earned their living by sailing all the way out to the Newfoundland banks and back to catch fish and sell it. And so as a town, they were fairly prosperous, and they were able to, quote, loan some ships as part of the early American or Revolutionary War Navy.
Interesting.
Right. And these guys were noted for being pretty fierce and capable. And they became Washington's bodyguard, basically.
Okay.
Right. Now, the thing is, as people of the sea, they had a particular facility for handling boats and handling boats under rough conditions. So if it were not for the Marbleheaders, his troops, Washington's troops, never would have been ferried across the river to Manhattan.
Interesting.
Battle of Brooklyn. And without the Marbleheaders, there never would have been a Battle of Trenton. Because,
interesting. Very interesting.
Okay. Little known fact, there were 3 boats in different places along the river that were supposed to cross. Only one of them made it, Washington's boat, because he had the Marbleheaders in it who knew how to navigate through the rough winter conditions on that river.
Okay, now this is interesting.
Yes.
I put out a tweet about this broadcast. It is not showing up in my list of tweets.
What's that all about?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've been pretty certain that I've been shadow banned for quite a while.
Okay.
But I just checked to see if any of the new viewers got there by my tweet.
And the answer is no.
Not that I can tell. I can't even tell that it went out anywhere.
Yeah, screw them. Boy, wouldn't it be sweet to just be able to, anyway. You can read my mind, it just don't take much. You can read my mind with such and such.
Well, you think about it like when you talk about the Marbleheaders. I remember reading about the Culper spy ring and how they were using fishing boats.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you look at look at World War II when Churchill puts out the call for all the boats.
Sure.
Everybody showed up.
Operation Dynamo. Yep.
Right, but everybody shows up. And look at in this country, look at the Cajun Navy, or Team Rubicon, which are 2 of the biggest non-governmental relief organizations out there. Team Rubicon are Jeep owners. They own Jeep Rubicons, and they realized they could go off-road.
Right.
And they are organized all over the country, and they go to disaster scenes where other emergency vehicles can't make it in.
What? I've never heard of these people.
Oh, Team Rubicon's very big. I've met some of their guys.
Wow. Where are they based?
They started in Florida, but they're all over the country as far as I know.
Team Rubicon. I'm going to have to check that out. That's too much.
Wow. And they are, I know there's a few members up here because I was in Norwalk in a class with one guy from Team Rubicon.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the Cajun Navy, which started off, I believe, with Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
They were just a bunch of guys that owned boats. And they realized there were people who couldn't get out of their houses because of the floodwater. So they just said, let's get all our boats together. And they've since deployed to other places. They went to Texas. They'll just jump in trucks and start trailering their boats places.
Oh, hold on. DJ Ricky. Wait, you've talked with DJ Ricky, right?
Yeah, the other day.
Right. Yeah, I just have to get this. All right, so I understand this. So but do the Cajun Navy and Team Rubicon work together?
Not necessarily, but they don't work a party. But they're just both 2 organizations that, like the Marbleheaders.
Yes.
And we, Washington needs boats. We got boats.
Okay.
Washington needs Jeeps. We got Jeeps.
All right. Well, I'll throw in one more wrinkle here with the Marbleheaders. When they were down in New Jersey.
Okay.
They walked 380 miles to get home.
Wow.
There you go. We're not built like that. I'm sorry.
No.
We're not. That's just blew my mind.
I don't remember the whole story, but I remember reading about a guy who was in the early army, in the early part of the country.
Okay.
Early days of the country, maybe the 1800s, and he was in the army. And he got a transfer order. They sent him a letter saying, you need to go from this base to that base. He said, okay. And he started walking. And it took him quite a while to get there. Like, well, you should have got on a train or you should have ridden a horse. Didn't have that kind of money. I'm not paying for that. And apparently back in the day, the army did not pay for your transfer.
Yeah.
After this guy did that and submitted a bill for the multiple pairs of shoes it took him to walk across a good part of the country, the army decided they would pay for your transportation to get you from point A to point B.
All right.
You know, but again, it was private stuff. You're right. We weren't made out of that stuff. Would anybody now seriously consider walking across the country because they were told they had to go there for work?
In service of the country. Yeah. Anyway, so the thing is, so I got to get a copy. The latest one is where he looks at the snipers of the Revolutionary War.
Interesting.
Right, exactly. That's it. He looks for interesting things to write about. Let's see, what was the other thing he did? It was about, he called it The Unvanquished, I think. Let's see here.
Your audio keeps going up and down.
Now, when you say up and down.
Well, okay, you just got loud now.
All right. Maybe if I speak up.
I wondered if you're moving closer and then further away from the microphone.
All right, what happens now?
It's fine, but it's definitely not as loud as it was.
Okay, yeah. I'm all over the lot. What can I say? Yeah. Anyway.
Have you been down to the Museum of the American Revolution in Philadelphia?
I have not.
It's actually a good museum. It's very small. Well, it's not very small, but it's small enough.
You know,
a couple of hours and you'll see the whole thing.
Well, a couple hours to me is not small. That's a fair. So which part of Philadelphia is it in?
It's not too far from the Constitution Center. It's downtown. It's a few blocks outside of where Independence Hall is, but it's easily walkable.
All right. Noted. I may just see if I can find a way to pull it off.
I gave some thought to being in Philadelphia this weekend.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year, I was debating traveling for July 4th, and it was either going to be Philadelphia or Boston.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, the number of people I know said, "Oh, you got to go to Boston." I'm like, "Well, why?" I mean, to me, I've seen Boston. I grew up going to Boston and all their revolutionary history.
Right.
And it's like Philadelphia is the one I know less about in terms of local stuff. And they're like, "But Philadelphia is a terrible city." I said, "Well, yeah, but they know people want to visit on July 4th. Trust me, they're going to keep everybody safe."
Well, I have to agree. I mean, the few times that I've been to Philadelphia, it was a disappointment.
It is, but it isn't, because you know what it is? I think everybody expects it to be like a walled history thing, like almost like the Disney World of, like when you go to a theme park, once you set foot on their property, you don't need to leave for a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think about what Walt Disney developed in Florida, which is still the only park of its kind. But you can go stay in a Disney-owned hotel, take a Disney-owned bus to a Disney-owned park. You never have to see anybody that's not Disney.
Okay.
Versus you go to Philadelphia and you go to the National Constitution Center and you walk outside and there's a city. There's still people who live there and work there.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a whole city functioning, and you walk and you run across the street to the Liberty Bell and you go see that. And you come out of there, there's still some people there. And yeah, maybe you see some homeless people and maybe you see some of that, but there's also people working in bank buildings right around there. And, you know, everything's kind of standalone. And there's some small museums there. I don't know if it's still there. There was one I went to once. It was a military museum, only a couple of rooms. And the building it was in was the original Department of War. I joked and said it was the rectangle before we built the Pentagon. And it was kind of a nondescript building that just happened to have been where the Department of War was in our revolutionary capital.
So back then there would have been a building that was the Department of War.
Right. Well, you got to remember in the early days when Philadelphia was our capital, the early days of the country, not really during the Revolution, but in our first national days, it was a cabinet position, the Secretary of War, under the Constitution.
Okay. Well, the funny thing is when Adams was president, he had a roll-up desk. Yeah. And each slot in the roll-up desk was a government department.
Interesting.
Right. So the Department of Treasury, Department of State, Department of War, whatever the others were at the time. There were just a few. But, I mean, we were at that level, just getting started, where you could put the whole government bureaucracy on one roll-up desk.
Right. And like I said, you could spend a lot of time in a city like Philadelphia or Boston going from small building to small building. an hour here, a couple of hours there. You know, you go to the Boston Tea Party Museum, maybe it takes a couple of hours. But if you had an entire day to spend, just like, you know, an 8-hour day, 9 to 5 in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you going to do for the other 6 hours? Go
Go
to another attraction.
Do they have any prohibitions on being able to video in those places?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I've seen video of those attractions.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, you just think about it for a minute, and like all these things are out there. But again, the city of Boston's people are living there, working there, going about their business.
Mm-hmm.
But people are up there walking the Freedom Trail and going into this building and going into that building. And last time I was up in Boston with my wife, we were walking around and we went over to the spot in the middle of the road where the Boston Massacre happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's a traffic triangle with a little monument with a little brass plaque in the ground. But
yeah,
while we were there was a costumed tour guide giving a tour of one of the buildings we walked past. We listened to him for a few minutes, but we didn't pay for the tour, so it would have been rude to just kind of listen to his whole talk.
Mm-hmm.
But there's all sorts of stuff going on there, but it's not completely 100% self-contained, so I'm not sure that Philly doesn't get a bad rap for that, because it's still a city. It's still gritty. And yeah, don't get me wrong, Philly has some bad neighborhoods.
That's it, the gritty city, yes. The kind of neighborhoods that we saw in Rocky still exist.
Absolutely. Look, now, I don't know if I mentioned to you, I remember I mentioned to somebody the other day that I went to see, when I was in Philly, I took a tour of Laurel Hill Cemetery.
Okay.
It's a historic cemetery in there, and but one of the grave sites there is Adrienne Balboa, Rocky's wife.
That's right. Yes, you told me that story. That's right. Adrienne.
But again, there's all sorts of stuff. Now, again, to get to Laurel Hill, you don't really want to look the surrounding area. You definitely want to lock your doors.
Yeah. But
again, there's stuff there, but it's not self-contained the way a theme park is. And sometimes I wonder if we're not really looking for the theme park adventure. Well, look at New York City. We know there's bad neighborhoods.
That might be a little too commercial, but I mean, still the sense of something that embraces our history in a big way.
Right.
All right.
But, well, okay, we know New York City has bad neighborhoods. We know New York City has had high crime in different times in its history. Yeah. But it's still the only place you can go see the Statue of Liberty.
True that, yes.
If you want to go see the Statue of Liberty, you got to go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go see Central Park, you got to go to New York.
Well, if you want to see Independence Hall, you got to go to Philadelphia.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I think we kind of forget. I remember when I went to Gettysburg, the tour guide who was doing a nighttime tour said that the battlefield was actually something like 3/4 of what is now the city of Gettysburg.
What?
Yeah, he said the battle was going on in this wide area that was farmland and empty lots at the time, but he said they built a city around it. And then over the years, we said, hey, wait, we should preserve some of this. And the national park that's Gettysburg is a small piece of the battlefield. There's houses that people live in that have cannonballs in the walls.
Right, yes. That's your history. Okay.
And they said that the average depth of a grave after Gettysburg was 18 inches.
A lot of people to bury.
But that also means that half of them were buried in less than 18 inches of dirt. So it is
a number of. I mean, so the city is over the graves of these soldiers.
Absolutely, but you dig to put an addition on your house and you find bones. They said it's quite frequent to uncover archaeological evidence of the battle.
Yeah. Then what?
And then they bring in archaeologists and they come in and they delay your building project and they go and they try to decide whether this is a historically interesting site, and if not, they just move the bones to a cemetery and
move on.
Right. I know a guy I used to work with him who was a Civil War reenactor. And his group, he was up in New York, about 4 hours from here, but his group patterns themselves after, I believe, the 12th Connecticut, I think they're called.
Okay.
So anyway, so he found that there was a monument to the Connecticut Regiment that he reenacts in Gettysburg. It's in somebody's backyard. It's private. It's on privately owned land. At some point, the residents of Connecticut paid money to have somebody put a monument there to the brave boys from Connecticut that died in Gettysburg, and then somebody went and bought the land it was on.
All right.
And so his group went and they made a deal with the
this is wild.
with the homeowner, and they are the only people allowed to come see the monument.
Mm-hmm.
They come once a year, and they come in and they put a wreath on the monument, and they clean it up. They clean the monument, and they do make sure it's not overgrown and in good repair. And it's just sitting off in the corner of this guy's backyard.
Boy. So, meantime, I just want to mention that sitting here, do you ever check out ConnecticutSentinel.com?
Yes.
Yeah. So the latest here is the title is Exile and Return, the recapture of the Protestant mainline denominations by Jake Dell.
Interesting. Jake Dell's very good.
Yes. So he contributes regularly. So that's the latest. So he seems to be kind of optimistic about getting the churches away from all this woke shit.
Well, it's interesting because I read a blog about how to welcome Gen Z into your church. There's a lot of surveys that are saying that young men are coming back to church,
right,
and they're looking for a traditional church experience. Now, obviously, different denominations are going to dicker back and forth over what is traditional.
Yeah.
But they're not looking, as this blog put it, they're not looking for Jesus is my boyfriend music.
Jeez. Okay. That's funny.
And, you look at this, and I know the church I go to is going to be struggling with this. I have a feeling we are down to, I'll be kind and call it 2 families, but that might be 2 parishioners.
Wait, but they're not seeing young men coming back.
Not yet, but that's because a lot of churches don't advertise. I was talking with a priest last week, and I said, we found this church because my mother saw a newspaper ad in the Stamford Advocate, because the Stamford Advocate used to on, I believe it was Saturday night.
Yes, okay.
Saturday paper, I think it was the Friday or the Saturday paper, had a religion section for the weekend, but they had ads for all the churches.
Yes. Well, usually they just announce when the services are.
Well, right, but it would say something about the church. It would say St. Joe's Church of something or other on this road. It'll give you the address, maybe a picture, and it would say, in our case, it was the Anglican Church of the Good Shepherd, and still using the 1928 prayer book. And my mother saw that, and that was good enough for her.
Okay, there you go.
And but now there's no more religion section. If you want an ad, you can take an ad out in the regular no pictures involved classifieds, or you can pay for a quarter page of the paper.
It's always about when you're doing the hard copy stuff, it's to me it's always about the distribution.
Now, one of the things I've mentioned, and I said I don't know why, and I don't know if this is specifically to Anglican churches, but we have a love-hate relationship with social media. I'm not really a social media guy.
No.
But as much as I hate to admit it, a lot of people got rid of their websites and switched over to Facebook pages.
I don't know if it's a lot, but I've noticed that. Yes.
So even when I started going back to this church, I looked at their Facebook page. Hadn't been a post on it in 3 years. Said their services were at 9:30 in the morning. I went at 9:30. I got there a little late. I probably walked in at 9:45. I made the last 10 minutes of the 9 a.m. mass.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, they got to fix that.
Well, they did eventually. But there was another one I saw, a church in Queens, New York. Looked at it on the map, was a couple of blocks from where my in-laws lived. Said, oh, well, I'm going to go down there for Christmas. It would be easier to go down there, go to church down there, than to try to go to church here and then leave to go down there. So I didn't see a posting for when they were having a Christmas service, so I emailed the guy. There was an email address for information. Go here. I sent an email. Hey, what time are you doing services on Christmas? I'll be traveling through the area. He goes, oh, we closed that mission. The building we were in got sold. We haven't been there for 2 years.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it was still on his main jurisdiction's webpage as one of their churches. Now, he did say because that was a smaller offshoot, a branch of another church. He said, you're welcome to come to church in Brooklyn and come to our bigger church.
Bit of a hike?
It turns out not that far apart, but I ended up not going that year. But then I've since been to that church in Brooklyn, a very friendly, welcoming church.
Wow.
I stuck out as a visitor on a sore thumb because I was the only white guy in that church.
Okay.
And as soon as I walked in, I was greeted very warmly by one guy who got there early, and he was sitting in the pew, and he saw me walk in, and he came over and shook my hand and welcomed me to the church.
There you go. So how many times have you been back?
I actually haven't been back yet. With everything going on, I'm very rarely there early on Sunday mornings.
Okay.
But I do want to get back there.
Sometimes I'm going to say I might be partial. You're going to love this. Partial to black church services.
Well, again, because this is a liturgical service, you really couldn't tell the difference between a black church and a white church in the Anglican sense.
Okay.
But it's just interesting that, these churches have come and gone. And there was one church that it mentioned a place in New Haven. Oddly enough, they were meeting in a Masonic lodge. Seems counterintuitive to me, but.
Well, sometimes, even Masonic lodges may have needs for people to come in and use their space for certain.
Well, exactly. But the interesting thing is that church didn't make it very long because by the time I looked at it, we closed that mission.
And I think this comes back to just, somehow a congregation forms, but they don't hold it together with marketing.
Well, I think what happens is somebody gets the idea and says, okay, you've got a church in Stamford. But one day you realize that a lot of your people are coming from Westport. So you say, maybe I should have services in Westport. Mm-hmm. And you go over and you find a place, you rent some space, and you have some services in Westport. But Westport never really takes off. Some of your Westport people came there, but some of them like to come to Stamford.
Yeah, what are you going to say? I mean, you think you understand something, it turns out you don't.
Well, I mean, the church I go to in Greenwich, which is diagonally opposite the Audubon Society.
Yeah.
We rent space from the Congregational Church there.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is, when we started going, we were in Stamford. When my family started going, we were renting space from St. John's Lutheran Church.
Mm-hmm.
And then they declined to renew the lease and moved around as a house church for a while and ended up renting from a Presbyterian church on Turner River Road.
Okay. Wow.
At the same time, the same priest was running 3 churches. He was running the one in Stamford, one in Port Chester, and one in Manhattan.
All right.
He was driving to all 3 on Sundays, and then he finally moved the Stamford service to Saturday night.
So what was that term for when pastors would go from
circuit riding?
Circuit riding. So
like a circuit riding judge.
So you still have circuit riding pastors to this very day.
Oh yeah.
I like that.
Although I wasn't around when this arrangement was made, but it's still going on at this church because the priest who was there relocated to, I believe, South Carolina, take care of his parents. So they only had a deacon for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So they were using what was called a supply minister. We don't have anybody in the area, but we got a guy from another church who's willing to come over every other week. And so there's a bishop out of Waterbury who comes every other week.
Huh.
Now, since then, the deacon who's in charge was ordained a priest, and he's now doing the services every week. But still every other week, Bishop Edmund comes. And Bishop Edmund, I believe, is Indian.
Okay.
Very nice man. He's elderly, but he's there because he will keep this parish going for us.
Thank you.
He was there when they needed him the most.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working. I'm probably going to over the next couple of weeks, talk to the priest about a plan I've got to do some promotion for the church.
All right. Yeah.
Which is actually, funny enough, it's based on one I had to do for politics. I had a plan for politics to bring some more people active into the Republican Party.
Yes.
And I was discussing this with a friend of mine who's a Baptist minister.
Yes.
And he says, hey, I wonder if that idea would work for my church.
Okay.
Like, it might. And then I started thinking, well, wait, if it would work for your church, it would work for my church.
So what was this idea?
Well, the idea is I go and get the Republican role for, say, Stamford. I'm going to go to Greenwich.
Yeah.
And I think I'll probably get Darien and New Canaan, too.
Yeah.
And I'll get it with the birthdays on it, because that's usually part of what you get in the raw data. And I figure I'll isolate people, say, from age 25 to 45 or 25 to 50, maybe.
Right.
Because that's sort of where I'm not big into what generation is Gen this or Gen that. But that's the generation they say are the people that are coming to church, that are looking to come back to church. And maybe do a postcard thing and just start mailing postcards out. And again, use my favorite method of the random numbers. So I'm not sending a billion postcards out at once. Maybe I'll do 50 a month. If I get a 10% return, 5 people show up over 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then some of them stay.
Okay.
Well,
if you need any help, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, look, my theory is if you can't hurt. And it's just a matter of, getting, obviously, the permission to do it and then figuring and designing the postcard.
Right.
I was thinking if I'd done it in time for this, although I could do it because we're going to spend a year celebrating the 250th, I'm of some mind to say traditional Anglican worship the way many of our founders worshipped.
Which was?
There's still an Episcopal church in Philadelphia with Ben Franklin's pew in it.
Really?
Now, it was his wife's church that he started going to. I believe he was a Quaker or possibly a Congregationalist.
Ooh, let's address that question. Was Benjamin Franklin a Congregationalist?
Yeah, I don't remember what church he started going to, but he ended up going to an Episcopal church, which in Philadelphia.
Let's see. Okay. So that's weird. All right. So what it says here is that he was not strictly a Congregationalist, but he was raised in a Congregationalist environment. He attended a Congregationalist church in Boston during his childhood, where he was exposed to his teachings and doctrines. However, by the age of 15, he identified more with deism after reading various philosophical works. Gee, I wonder what those were.
And Jefferson was a deist also.
Right. And despite, you'll love this line, despite his deist beliefs, Franklin maintained a positive view of Christianity and supported churches throughout his life. So deists didn't like churches?
I
don't know.
They were more philosophers. They would get together and discuss their philosophy.
I see. Well.
It says here, John Jay, George Washington, and Edward Rutledge were Anglicans.
Okay.
Richard Stockton and John Witherspoon were Presbyterians. John Adams and Samuel Adams were Congregationalists. Charles Carroll and Daniel Carroll of Maryland and Thomas Fitzsimmons of Pennsylvania were Roman Catholic.
All right. Yeah, no, it's me. I mean, this just reflects what these areas were like back then.
Well, again, you got to remember that a lot of times the colonies were organized on like Connecticut was a Congregationalist state. Maryland was the only Catholic state. And Virginia charged a tax for the Catholics to live there if they were there doing business.
Interesting. I guess the Muslims stole that idea.
Well, when my wife and I were in Williamsburg, and one of the things we did was we went to a trial that was in the colonial Williamsburg area, and my wife got picked to be one of the jurors. And the case was on a Maryland businessman who had failed to pay his tax to the Anglicans.
This is a real trial.
Yes. They read the transcripts, and people had different roles to say, and
I'm very confused. Are you telling me that in current modern Maryland?
No. We went to see a reenactment of a colonial trial.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. I see. And this Maryland man had not paid his
right,
tax.
and even under British rule, you paid a tax
As a Catholic.
As anybody other than an Anglican in Virginia would have paid a tax.
Oh.
So a Quaker from Pennsylvania coming down to Virginia would have paid a tax to be a Quaker.
That's just insane.
But and you start looking at it, and it's funny. I remember hearing a story of, I'm trying to remember who it was in my family. My brother was talking to one of my uncles and heard the story. And growing up, we had thought that my father's family were Congregationalists. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that they had really been Presbyterians, which are not that far from Congregationalists. But during World War II, when there were gas rations, they started going to a Congregational church because they could walk there and they didn't have to drive.
Well, they're being practical.
Right, but that led to the next generation being Congregationalist.
How do you like that?
So my father's generation were Congregationalists in the family. My mother's family were Episcopalian, so they were married in an Episcopal church. Okay. So, you just look at how these things happen, and you don't realize along the way.
Okay, so I'm just was wondering, what makes Congregationalism unique?
As far as I know, it is the fact that they have no hierarchy above the congregational level.
Yes, that would appear to be the case.
But again, the Presbyterians have very little level. They do have the presbytery, but they have very little above the congregation.
I don't know. It almost seems like it's a distinction without a difference.
It can be. I knew somebody for a while who was a youth minister in a group called the CME.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're currently known as the Community Methodist Episcopal. That is not what the C originally stood for.
Okay, what did you originally Congregationalist?
Nope, colored.
Oh, cult.
They were the Colored Methodist Episcopal. And that is because the Methodist Episcopal Church, the United Methodists, the ones we think of now as being a fairly liberal organization, in the 1800s, they didn't want the recently freed coming to their churches.
I see.
So there were Black Methodists that formed up, and the biggest one you'll see is the AME, African Methodist Episcopal.
Ah, right. I've seen that.
But for some reason, there was the Colored Methodist Episcopal, and I don't know what the difference between the two were, but the CME has become the Community Methodist Episcopal now. And
that exists to this day as, what should I say, a denomination?
Yep, as a denomination. I don't know how big they are. A friend of mine was a youth minister there for a while.
I see.
And now what was interesting was that they had a position that they called bishop, but that was really just a senior pastor. They had they didn't really have much hierarchy above the congregational level, but they had just decided that they had a retired pastor who was kind of like the senior guy, and he would still come and help, but there were younger pastors. There was a younger pastor that kind of ran everything.
No.
So they decided among the congregation, they had a vote and decided that the senior pastor should be called bishop now.
Wait, this is confusing. So there's, the search did not produce. So you said this is called the Colored?
No, now Community Methodist Episcopal.
Okay, but it's still the same.
Yes.
Community Methodist Church.
Yep.
Members. How many?
Now, the interesting thing is I just Googled it, and because if I don't Google it with quotation marks around it, it looks for each word individually.
You know, I'm not. Let's see here. No, it won't give me
So-
any numbers.
So it's found me one called the Community United Methodist Church, the Diamond Hill United Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because apparently the name community is used by some other ones. So it's like there's a few of them that like you can't really tell what they are if they're part of that denomination or not.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do another search to find it.
This is almost beginning to sound like a splinter group in a way.
Well, I don't think it was a splinter group. Oh, here we go. Now they're calling themselves the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, CME, a historically African-American Methodist denomination founded in 1870 by former enslaved members of the Methodist Episcopal Church South.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
About a little over 1 million members.
All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Closest one to here is Bridgeport, Connecticut.
It's tempting. It's tempting. Name of this.
You know, and it's interesting to look at some of the history of these groups. Say organized in Jackson, Tennessee, with full support of their white sponsors in the former Methodist Episcopal Church, because basically they wanted them out.
Full support. Okay, that's nice.
And it says here they ordained their own bishops and ministers without being officially endorsed or appointed by the white-dominated body.
Okay, so this becomes interesting in my mind because now you're forming a group that's sort of developing its own biblical doctrine. Maybe, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. But there's all these groups out there. Every denomination has a history.
Yes, of course.
And I read a book years ago about, written about some splits in denominations, and the guy who wrote it actually said in his introduction that it was very difficult to find any actual information because if you go to a church, they're not going to tell you the bad things in their history. They're only going to tell you the good things, and they're only going to tell you what aligns with their current leadership.
Well, you know, I mean, just to mention it, I mean, it'd be nice for Eric to be here to defend his perspective, but, you know, when he's told me some things about the history of the Christian Science Church, they don't pull any punches about bad things that have happened in the church.
No.
So to me, they seem to be kind of forthright. Just an impression. Just an impression.
Now, that's one other thing, one lesson that I've heard people talk about when you have churches that split from other churches is you can't define yourself by what you're not. You have to define yourself by what you are.
Of course. What would be an example of defining yourself by what you know? I'm not a racist. So this is the anti-racist church? I don't understand.
Or I'm not a Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't tell me, that doesn't make me want to go to your church. That just tells me what you're not doing.
All right. Sure.
Let's see. There's been other than some financial mismanagement, it looks like there's not really a whole lot in the Christian Science Church scandal-wise.
Well, there was some leadership issues that were pretty significant. And I think.
I mean, wire fraud, tax evasion. I don't know how a nonprofit can evade taxes, but 11.4 million embezzled.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get things like former members have spoken out against the church. Well, they're former members.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, but
you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but it reflects the right. So fine. I mean, this is like the former Amish, right? Complaining about the Amish community.
There's a guy I watch on YouTube, Eli Yoder, who's former Amish.
All right, but so these there's a maybe I'm just not looking at this the right way. There's room, if you will, for conflict and disagreement, even if it means that you leave.
Yes.
You don't find them suppressing it. You don't find them denying it. You don't find them trying to mischaracterize it. At least that's from where I sit.
But then when you go, if you were going to go write a book about this, what do? You can only, if you were going to go write a book about the former Amish, well, you could find former Amish, but they're not going to tell you anything good about the Amish. You could go try and interview an Amish person, but a lot of them won't talk to the English.
Really?
Yeah, some of them will. So this guy Eli Yoder that I watch online, he was part of a very strict old order Amish.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons he left is when he was 18, he was told he was not fit for baptism because he had ridden a bicycle.
Oh, that's right. Remember that story too that you told me? Yes.
His father ended his own life and is buried in an unmarked grave off in a corner of the Amish cemetery because he must be set apart, and he was posthumously shunned.
Well, it's funny like that. I mean, you tell a story like this and you kind of shake your head and say, this is really not a very nice thing that should have happened. These are people who are, devoted to Christ, live by the Bible, and you'd think that they would be more forgiving of each other, but this apparently is not the case.
Now he talks about, I remember he posted a video today I saw where he posted a story and pictures of a grave of an Amish guy who was killed in a car accident because he had taken some time, I guess what would formerly be called Rumspringer, although his group did not honor Rumspringer, so they didn't send their kids off for a year to go see what the world was like. But he said this guy from another had decided to go off and see whether he really wanted to be Amish or not, and he was riding in a car, or he was driving a car, and the car went out of control and rolled over several times, and he was killed in the crash. And when they went to tell his parents that he'd been killed in a car crash, his father's remark was, well, that's what God does to people that leave the church.
A little rough.
And he's buried alone in the woods outside of the cemetery with a fence around his grave.
Boy.
And Eli said that at that point they read a letter of excommunication over his grave.
Well, that's pretty bad. Jeez. Anyway, we have passed the 2-hour mark.
Yes,
here.
we have.
And I would like to get ready to prepare for tomorrow. And you're working tomorrow, you said?
I'm working 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow.
All right. Well, let's plan on doing this again tomorrow night.
All right.
And we'll pick up on these themes that we touched on here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good night.